Welcome to Going Beyond, and thank you very much for joining us here today. In the studio, I have Dr. C. Ramchand. Now, he's flown in all the way from Kerala just for this interview, and I'm therefore very grateful to him for his time. By profession, he's been a biochemist all of his life, but he's into biotech as well as the pharmaceutical industry. And I'm going to ask him to explain all of this to the uninitiated like myself and like to lots of us who are out there watching us. Thank you so much, Doctor, for coming all the way from Kerala. I do appreciate you coming here. Now, you started your life as a student in the US and in the UK studying your biochemistry. What led you into that field in the first place?
First of all, thank you very much,
It's a pleasure.
Ms. Jennifer. I have seen many of your programs earlier.
It's
and
my
thanks.
pleasure.
See, I'm from a small village in Kerala. After my studies in Kerala, I went to Baroda. Baroda, I did my PhD there. So one of the very famous scientists who was a professor, is one of the most well-known biochemists in India as well as in the world.
Really?
He is the father of Venki Ramakrishnan, who got the Nobel Prize. So I wanted to join with him. Initially, I did my organic chemistry, which is a different subject. So I went to him, but it was difficult for him to give. But then he gave me a project. Of course, I got into other places. He gave me a project to do, which is something, a disease was there called neurolathyrism. So one of the chemical to be synthesized. So he gave me that, he told that, maybe you work on this and let's see after that. It was very easy for me to synthesize being an organic chemist. And that was it. And, I synthesized that. He was very happy. So from there,
Right.
the thing started.
So all of your work has been in research and development. So I need to draw you out. When you talk about that, is it mainly dealing with drugs and medication and medicines?
Majorly, you can say I was mainly involved in discovering and developing drugs. So I'm not going into the commercialization part,
Right.
which I am doing now also. So earlier part is, which is one of the most complex thing ever human or mankind knows, how to develop a drug in the allopathy area. There's not many drugs are there. There is only 450 such drugs are there, around 80 biologics are there. We have 36,000 disease is there. So if you really
That's
see,
a lot. That's a lot.
So probably if you really analyze and see, 95+% diseases, there is no drugs. For example, if you are talking about central nervous system diseases, you have schizophrenia, depression, mania, manic depression. Really, what is called the target-based therapy is not there. So like that, many conditions, but it needs a lot of time to explain. So I was just briefly telling. So that is what I am doing, discovering, developing, and not only drugs and biologics, various other things also I am involved. I am also involved in nanotechnology, like DNA extractions and analysis of DNA, which can be used for various disease detection. Plus agricultural foods, agri-foods.
So you've got a very vast, indeed, I'm sorry to interrupt you. That means you have a very vast canvas.
Correct.
Now, when you talk about all these the various drugs that are being, researched around the world, right here in India, how much research is actually being done on all the medication and all the medicines that, people are subjected to these days?
India is one of the very large pharmaceutical so many companies are there. We have 26,000 pharmaceutical companies are there.
As many as that.
We are the fourth largest manufacturers of what is called generic medicine. Generic medicine means which do not have a patent. This simply means that someone will discover, develop, we will copy it. This is what we have been doing for the last 60 or 70 years.
That's not good, is it?
Well,
I mean, if we are just getting something, copying it, and
right now that is blocked. If it's already the molecule is patented, there is not possible, because somewhere in 2000 plus, around 2005 onwards, that world intellectual property has there is something called Patent Cooperation Treaty, PCT countries,
Right.
and you are not allowed to do that one. You need to have your own patent. Okay. Before that, what we were doing is that the moment there is something called product patent. Product patent means it is connected to the structure of the molecule. Once somebody patents, you can't do that. It is very difficult.
So then does that mean that we in India will not have access to that particular drug?
Correct, that is now. But earlier, when we introduced the drugs, all these pharmaceutical companies came up. At that time, what we used to do is that once you download the patent, you will be able to understand how to synthesize, and it takes, see, normally a novel drug discovery and development, mainly development, takes about 12 to 15 years.
That's long.
It costs right now $2 billion and 3,000 scientists are required. But once it is developed, and you have to go through a 7 years of clinical evaluation, what is called phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 trial. But once it is done, you can synthesize, do all the things in 1 year time.
So when often we talk about is this drug for real? Is it a spurious drug? How will I ever know as a user?
I also hear quite a lot,
Yeah.
Spurious drugs. But let me tell you, all these 26,000 companies which is making generic drugs, there is a real control is there. There is CDSCO, Central Drugs Control Agency is there.
Where is that?
That's in Delhi.
In Delhi, okay, in
And
our country.
every
right,
state
okay.
also has got Foods and Drugs Administration, FDA. All these drugs, what is going to be developed and given, that is very well controlled. Now, a pharmacy will not be able to sell just like that from somebody, because that is also controlled. How these spurious drugs which is
Yes.
coming, I don't know. I really do not know. It is possible, because there are instances, I know that what they do is that some other company's exact name, and because you will have to collaborate with such a company as well as these pharmacies, but not that easy.
Oh,
but
really?
normally I can say that there was right now you can a branded name and the generic name. There is no difference between these two, one and same. But a branded, like for example, if it is Pfizer,
yeah.
let's say it is 100 rupees. A generic one synthesized by another company will be 10 rupees.
Right. So is there a difference at all then? Why should I
There is
go
no
for the
difference.
100 rupee? I can go for the 10
There is no
rupee.
difference. There is no difference.
Is that so?
As far as I am concerned, if I develop the molecule, there is no difference.
So it's not as if the patient is getting conned by this so-called generic name.
No, it is, I mean, oh, you mean the
Tablet itself,
branded
the
drug.
branded, yeah.
Yes, to some extent. But you also have a belief. I go and some other company's name, and Sun Pharmaceuticals or Ranbaxy or Pfizer, they certainly will think that this is a good drug, so that your what is called the placebo effect, or
That's right, yes, and probably
Yeah.
sometimes psychological effect as
Correct,
well.
yeah,
Isn't?
yeah.
Wouldn't you say that for sure?
Correct.
So now you were talking about the discoveries in the field of DNA, for instance, which has become so crucial. I mean, crime and so many other things. How is that working around the world?
The first thing is that we have about 35,000 DNAs there. And this DNA represents multiple proteins. And this protein is mainly involved in what is called the metabolism. Whether, whatever you are doing, like, it is connected to this DNA, which is transcribed or converted to RNA. Then into
What is RNA?
RNA is in between the DNA and the protein. Something
okay.
called, this RNA is a single-stranded molecule. This is a double-stranded molecule. Anyway, so this protein, like that controls whatever we are doing. Everywhere, the whole, whether it is brain function, every cell, what you are doing, or in your eye, everywhere these type of enzymes or proteins are there, which is involved in various things. This DNA is very, very important.
Yes.
All of us are looking, or the characteristics is because of the DNA. There is something called mutations or SNP, single nucleotide polymorphism. Why you are slightly different from me, or why I am different from another person, or why Caucasians are white, or some country people are tall, some are short, some are dark, some is all depending on what is called this genetic variation. Now, these variations are also involved in your disease process. For example, your biochemistry is also based on this variations in this DNA.
So are you saying that all of the diseases that could affect us, that we are afflicted with, is all due to your DNA?
99% of the disease.
Really?
99% of the disease has got a genetic background. You just see, for example, let's say meningitis.
Yes.
It is caused by a bacteria called meningococcal bacteria. It's an infectious disease. People will think that this can be affected to everyone. Now it's not like that. You know, everyone has got that bacteria lying in the nose. 96 to 97% has got this bacteria there. But our immunity, the antibodies developed against that is lying there. So it will not go and grow. But at some point it goes down, and there is a genetic makeup to do that one. If you
There's
see
a connection there.
Definitely. That genetic reasons, because of that, whether it will be affected or not. You see the COVID times,
Yes,
not
but doctor,
everybody may not be, and some people die, some people do not die.
I can't sort of relate everything then to DNA, every single thing that happens to me. I can't choose my ancestors, for instance, I suppose. So it's just my bad luck then, right?
Bad luck or good luck, whatever it is.
Good luck, I suppose, is better to think of it like that.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, if you are intellectually superior, or you are like professionally doing good, probably there is a genetics behind it.
Throwback.
And if you do not have, for example, see, 30% of the people can get cancer and die, and 30% is cardiovascular disease, and the rest by other old age infections, Alzheimer's disease, etc., etc. But that 30% cancer is inherited. Probably the mutations would be there. Of course, some other environmental factors might be there, but this is from your grandparents onwards,
Right.
it is
So
transmitted.
is this the very reason why every time a normal person goes to the doctor, they'll say, well, did anybody in your family have this ailment? Do you know? Most of us don't know, doc, what our grandparents or what did they suffer from?
Definitely. So earlier probably they were asking, for example, let's say schizophrenia. One of the major 1% of the population is affected by schizophrenia. Now, for example, if it is monozygotic twins, 50% chance, both your father and mother is schizophrenic, there is about 40% chance. If your one sibling is schizophrenic, you have 15% chance. If nobody in your family, first degree, second degree, then still you have about 1% chances there to get schizophrenia. That means some mutations, genes will be there. So earlier that was only possibility, that you ask, the doctor will ask your parents, brothers, sisters, somebody has got a particular disease. It can be cardiovascular disease,
anything.
It can be schizophrenia, it can be depression, any of these things. But now things have changed.
Why do you say that?
Now you will be able to sequence. Now most diseases, why it is causing, it is I'm not telling about identified for every disease, but quite a large disease. Like for example, FDA has approved for a diagnostic purpose, and there is another area called pharmacogenomics, what type of medicine you should take.
When you say FDA, are you talking about the Indian one or the American one?
No, FDA, US
okay.
FDA. They have approved 45, 50 such, whether it is for diagnostic criteria. For example, treatment of breast cancer is based on your genetics, and few other cancers like that, and many other diseases are there. So what I want to tell is that probably 10 years to 15 years from now, this 45 will become 450 for sure. Now, what is to be done? There is something called the DNA. The DNA has to be sequenced, and you will be able to identify.
We just talked about the FDA in the US. So does it mean that every single medicine that I buy from my chemist has actually been already passed by the FDA in the US, and therefore we are getting it here, therefore we are able to make it here, therefore the chemist it's available with him and I can buy it from him and use it? Is that safe, doctor, then?
What I understand what you are telling is that, the drugs, most of the drugs, let's assume that, all the drugs what we are using is there in the US FDA.
That's what I'm
Yes, it is there. And they have to go through the regulatory process, what they want. Now, when it comes to India,
Yes.
if it is not new drugs, let's say already existing drug, it has also to pass through certain requirements. For example, a molecule we are synthesizing, the structure has to be exactly, the purity has to be something like 99 or 99.5%, then its formulation has to be something similar. All these has to be tested. But what I want to tell is that, you know, the drugs which is coming here, you can safely take, you don't need to buy from US unless it is not available here. So a drug, a paracetamol which you are getting from US and paracetamol gets here is same. There is no difference.
Oh, that's kind of a little bit heartening to hear because
Definitely there is no difference.
oh really? Okay.
Yeah.
So having said that, then in India, are we actually discovering with people like you who are doing research, development in various fields, have you scientists actually been able to identify and do the research and bring to fruition this kind of work that they're doing in the FDA?
Yeah, that's one of the major work what I am doing is similar to that. For
Tell
example,
me.
when I was in Sun Pharmaceuticals, I was majorly working on developing new what is called NC, new chemical entity. Then subsequently, right now, last 10 years, so I was involved in two other companies called Saxon Life
Yeah.
Sciences and Theragen Biologics, where I was involved in recombinant DNA technology that we are using, and it is a protein drug which comes under biotechnology. We are developing two novel molecules which is to be for the eye application, eye injectable drugs. There is an existing molecule called Lucentis. So Lucentis is effective only in about 30 to 35% of people. You do not know.
What is Lucentis?
Lucentis is a protein drug
Okay.
to be injected. It is called
Oh.
anti-VEGF molecule.
Okay,
Vascular
fine.
endothelial growth factor. It is a chemical which is produced or protein produced in the eye and which goes up that you know you have macular degeneration.
Yes.
The other one is that because of lot of diabetes there in the world, so there's a certain percentage, about 15% of the people get this diabetic retinopathy.
So right, but does it ever work the other way around where something that you scientists here in India have actually discovered, have worked on for many, many years, does it work the other way any time? Does anything that's...
Yeah, there are a lot of instances are
Really?
there. Lot means, see, early discovery can be done here,
Right.
which we are going to do now, currently. So we are associated with 2 or 3 companies.
Companies, yes.
And when, for example, we are going to develop a radiopharmaceuticals. In these radiopharmaceuticals, there is antibody against a particular cancer, what is called surface antigen.
Right.
That means if you have a cancer cells are there. The cancer cells in the surface will be having a new protein, and we have developed a...
You have developed it in India here.
Correct. This particular part is done in Canada,
Okay.
but now that we are bringing here, with that molecule, what we are going to tag lutetium, which is a radioactive substance, and once it is injected, the advantage is that this will only go to that cancer area, cancer molecules, not anywhere else. So this is something which we are going to do. Then another one we are going to do for the eye, which I mentioned to you, only 30% is effective.
Yes.
What we are going to do is that 3 different targets and 3 different molecules combined together, going to inject, and probably in few years' time it will be out, because all the individual molecules we have developed.
So at one point of time, as an Indian user of drugs, I will not necessarily have to wait for the FDA to actually to discover it, to pass it, to do their research.
No. Now it is also coming in India. The advantages are many people, why we are going to do here, in India, the discovery or development is much cheaper. Much.
So do they ever come here and do the research?
Yes. Only thing in India, there is a condition that if the molecule is developed elsewhere, you can't do what is called the phase 1 trial. That is the very first time to be injected into a human being. Subsequently, you can do. So, okay, a molecule which is developed in the US, now they have patent in India.
Okay.
They do the clinical trials here also to introduce in India. So, many molecules, if it is belonging to Pfizer or Genentech, which is available here also. The only thing is that cost can be very high until it become generic molecule, generic drugs.
Okay, fine. As a scientist, are you heartened by the kind of work that's going on in your particular field in our country? Are you, is it somebody like you who should really get up and go and say, no, I think I prefer to go there, are you heartened?
No.
You're not heartened?
No, the reason is that, I will tell you, when I did my PhD,
Yes.
it was very easy to go to US, and even now.
Yes.
So most of the people either go to Europe or US, and you get very good job. First, everybody goes as a postdoctoral fellow, then and
get
almost every scientist I know, for example, all my colleagues, everyone is 100%, 99% is in USA.
Aren't you tempted?
No, I was there.
I know, for a long time.
I was there, then I came to UK, then I was having a permanent job there, then I came to Sun Pharmaceutical because I wanted to take more and more challenges. I thought that, India definitely have got a lot of challenges. So it is happening, but only few companies are doing. That is the thing. But now what is happening? Government is funding a lot.
Over here, the Indian
but
government?
Still we have deficiency of people, very good talent. This can be done only by those who have gone to US. They will also have to come back.
Right.
So that's not much happening, but hopefully that's the problem I feel.
Right. Okay. So isn't the Indian government by any chance kind of trying to tempt our brilliant minds like yourself to come back here and to work in our country, to be doing, after all, why do these brilliant and brainy Indians are all over the world doing so well, and kind of the government should be calling them back, getting them back?
There are some programs are there.
Yeah?
Those who have done PhD and postdoctoral fellowship, instead of settling there, what government does is that there is something, fellowships are there, which is something like, equivalent to an associate professor's salary. They give funding also. So a scientist who wants to come back will be able to apply and will be able to come. Then if you apply to government, whether it is for research purpose, they normally get those type of, funding. But see, the problem is, everybody is tempted to go to industries. The salary scales are far higher. If you want to have a good life like what you have done in the US, if you want to be in India, you have to go to a company. I probably would not have come back and joined in a university back, because I am very sure that I won't be able to keep the same quality of life what I was having in the UK.
Right.
But when I get into an industry, it is different.
Right, but as a British citizen, you can walk out of that door and be on the next plane back to permanent resident status in the UK, can't you?
I can go any time, but not necessarily I will be getting a good job, or or
Why not?
It might take some time. I'm not sure about it,
I think you're being modest, Doctor.
No, earlier I was having a good job.
Right.
So when I go back, they themselves have of course, my daughter is there.
Oh,
in the UK, and she's in an extremely good job, and she's right now has her own company also. She was in British International Investment. So good people can get a job wherever they want.
Right.
But she's not a scientist.
Right. Okay. You're a teacher as well. You do a lot of teaching in various places.
Yeah, that I was doing when
that?
I was in UK also. I had a lot of PhD students. Even now, only not for regular teaching. I go and teach specific subjects. For example, when I was in Chennai, all these universities, for example, Stella Maris College and Anna University, and all the places, IIT, everywhere I used to go and take, classes.
So what would you actually be teaching them?
Well, for example, when I was going and teaching Stella Maris, they wanted to know molecular design. They were not getting people. So I used to go and teach there. So where there is, for example, I won't go and teach the general biochemistry, general pharmacology, but an area which, for example, right now many places I go and tell them how to patent a molecule. It's a 3 or 4 hours class, so I do that one. Discovery and development of molecules. These type of things I take.
So it's a very specialized area that you are doing.
Yes.
So now, let me in conclusion ask you one final question. You have across the spectrum done a lot of different work. Apart from your factual research, I'm sure you probably still go into a lab and probably have a lot of fun doing that and like that very much. What is it, the one thing that you would like to continue doing as a scientist? Is the world just open to somebody like you? Or do you decide to do this or that? How do you choose which is it that you like best? Which is the one you would continue to do, Dr. Ramchand?
I would like to continue to work on the development of novel molecule for other diseases. For example, some disease like, Alzheimer's disease, till date there is no drugs.
Right.
So reasonably mechanism is there. So like that, some of the cancers. So that is what we are doing right now. And like where there is a possibility of developing a drug, mechanism is known. But currently nothing is available. I definitely want to get into there and develop the molecule.
Just one final question. How far away is the cure for cancer?
It is not very far away.
How far is far?
Probably few years from now.
Really?
I myself had a throat cancer 12, 13 years back. Is well cured. That is because it was detected very early. But that was easy to detect. Now many other cancers now at an early stage. For example, just by testing your blood, you will be able to tell you have this mutation, such and such mutation, you might get a cancer. So for example, breast cancer, it is very common.
Yes.
So many other cancers, it is coming up. Now even if the cancer is expressed, drugs will be there, which is called novel biologics. It is not drugs, it is biologics. It is protein molecule or antibody molecule, and many are coming up. So I'm sure probably 15, 20 years from now, many cancers will have very good molecules.
In a way, there's not that much we should be frightened of, because with all the developments that people like you are doing, Dr. Ramchand,
I'm very sure that, probably 40, 50 years from now, many diseases will be curable.
I am extremely grateful. I'm so happy that you could
Thank
come.
you. Thank you
and
for the
especially coming
opportunity.
all the way from Kerala, I do appreciate it, because it's not often that I can get an opportunity to talk to somebody as experienced and as learned as yourself, and to have such a well-known scientist sitting right here in my studio. I want to thank you very much indeed once again. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Doctor.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, it was my pleasure to talk to this very learned guest that I have had here today. I think he has opened our minds, and I hope that you have found it interesting, and I hope that you have learned something as I have here in the studio. It's been my pleasure that you joined us here on Going Beyond. So until the next time, you take care. Bye for now.